I love when ideas come to me. I love when I think about things and I'm like, yo, this is really interesting. I should probably talk about this. And in this situation, the factions in One Piece, that's what I'm talking about here. Which faction is the best in One Piece? I know faction is a weird term here, especially within some of these groups. It's not like they're working together, but it exists amongst each other. They're grouped together. I think faction just sounded better than groups, so that's why I used it. I still could use groups, but whatever. Anyway, what is the best group in One Piece? The best faction in One Piece? What am I asking here? So within One Piece, there are a bunch of different groups and individuals that are introduced that we really enjoy and how they function together within the story. It enhances your experience every time someone from this group is introduced or every time someone from this group is on screen. The way it's impacted the story, the way it will impact the story going forward. Which group, which faction is the best in One Piece? Could be based on feats, could be based on enjoyment, but from your perspective, which faction do you think is the best? Now, for me personally, I could rank them based on strength, but I tried to do it before I started recording here, and I'm not really sure exactly where I stand on that, right? Because I would say the Marines, they are clearly the strongest faction, but are they? For instance, if the Marines were attacked by every single Yonko as a faction, as a group, would the Marines win? I'm hard pressed to say yes, because again, that's every single Yonko, 4 of them. I'm not including Luffy here. So 4 of them attacking the world government together. Would they win? I don't know. Right now, I think I'm putting the world government above them, but Jesus Christ, how could they contest for Yonko? It would be tough. Not gonna lie, it would be tough, but I don't know. So I guess, okay, I'm leaning towards Yonko right now. The 4 Yonko being stronger than the Marines. And then after that, it's a bit tricky with Revolutionaries, Warlords, and Supernova. With Mihawk and Kuma and Doflamingo, and again, I'm assuming everyone is at their peak, right? So Kuma, he still has his brain and all that. Would that group defeat the Supernova? I would assume so, right? I would think so. With Mihawk, Kuma, Doflamingo, Crocodile, Boa Hancock, I would pick the Warlords over the Supernova right now. But the Revolutionaries, again, it's tricky because including Dragon, Kuma, Sabo, Ivankov, Morley, those guys, we're not exactly sure how strong they are, but I probably would put them over the Supernova as well, solely because Dragon is with them. Now the Supernova, this is not including Blackbeard because that's the worst generation. We're talking about a Supernova here because Blackbeard would be a part of the Yonko faction. Again, you can cross over and have both, but this time we're going to use the Supernova as opposed to the worst generation, where the only difference is Blackbeard. Anyway, that's pretty much how it would go in regards to strength for me, but let's talk about the best. What are the best factions in One Piece based on what they were set out to do, their accomplishments, and then the future of the story? Have they enhanced the story? Do they make your personal experience better? So obviously the 5 factions that we're using here are the Marines, the Yonko, the Revolutionaries, the Warlords, and the Supernova. I think those are the more prominent groups here. I thought about CP0, but they're part of the world government, so I was like, that's fine. And then any other groups or factions, I don't think they matter enough to be placed here, so this is what we're going with. Because people are saying, well, maybe the Scabbards. We're not doing that. We're not even going to entertain that. Let's talk about the best factions in One Piece. So at 5, who is the worst faction in One Piece based on what they were introduced to do and what they've accomplished so far in the story? I'm going to say the Revolutionaries. Now, I'm super excited for what the Revolutionaries have to offer, but so far in the story, it has been completely underwhelming what they've accomplished. I do have great expectations for them. I expect Dragon to be amazing. I like Sabo. I like Kuma and I like Ivankov. But what have the Revolutionaries really accomplished? We had that moment in which they talked about Dragon, how dangerous he will be coming in the future. But for Dragon, I thought it'd be a great moment for them to attack, not even attack, declare war at the Reverie. Come to find out, Dragon wasn't even there. And if you go back to Dressrosa, Burgess managed to sneak on the ship. The Blackbeard pirates found Baltigo and essentially ran the Revolutionaries out of their home base. I'm sorry, I understand what they've been doing. They've been showing glimpses of them going around, liberating different countries, saving people. Sabo is a prime example of that. But based on what I expected from the Revolutionaries so far, I think personally they're the worst faction in One Piece, even though they're the greatest threat to the Marines still, right? Because they're the opposing force. I understand it's a bit soon, but we are 900 chapters in. I would have expected something, some great thing from them. The last thing we know about Sabo is that he's probably jailed, he's being blamed for something, or he could be dead. I think that's far-fetched, but it's not out the realm of possibility. So for the Revolutionaries, I'm sorry, they've been disappointing so far for me. So that's my number 5. This is actually a lot more difficult than I thought, because when I think about, again, what these people have contributed to the story, the characters within these factions, and the future of the story, it gets really tough past the Revolutionaries. But I would say number 4, I think so far, will be the Yonko. This may be a surprise to some people because the Yonko, a lot of people love them. They're a great topic of conversation, but for the most part, I think the Yonko have been okay. I think Whitebeard has been fantastic, but I would have liked even some more Whitebeard. We got him for one arc, and he's one of the best characters in One Piece. I think no doubt a lot of people would agree. And the Yonko, of course, they're prominent in the story because they are the 4 greatest pirates in One Piece. And especially right now, being in the Versus 4 Yonko saga, we've gotten a lot more exposition into these characters and their lives and their backstories, so they have absolutely contributed. I mean, we can look at Blackbeard and everything he's done throughout the story. And for Blackbeard, he's an interesting one because he's connected to the Warlords and also the Supernova, but he was more so part of the Worst Generation, but you understand what I'm saying. But Blackbeard, one of the more interesting characters in the story, so it's really difficult in regards to the factions, but let's look at them as a whole. What was the purpose of the Yonko? The purpose of the Yonko is to obviously have a goal for Luffy to surpass, right? He has to get the poneglyphs from each of them. Blackbeard seems to be the main antagonist at the end of the story, but I think so far they've been okay, right? I like Kaido, I like Big Mom, I like Shanks, I really like Blackbeard, but I think we've been teetering around them a bit. For Big Mom, we've gotten the most exposition on her in regards to her backstory, how she was raised, the way she lives, the way she thinks, her goals. So Big Mom, for the most part, she's been fleshed out. There are things about her that we still have to figure out in regards to, is she ever going to remember anything about Mother Carmel? How is that going to affect her in the story? But for Big Mom and Kaido, we expect that past Wano, they should not be that relevant or that important. Now, again, up to the story so far, they've been okay. Shanks has had some moments, the Marineford War, an amazing moment, but as a character, there's still key things we do not know about Shanks. Like, what are his goals? What is he trying to accomplish? Is he actively trying to become the Pirate King? How much did Roger's death impact him? These are things we still have to figure out, and I think as characters in the story and maintaining that balance, they've done that. But I think something for me personally, again, that's somewhat been weird is just how stagnant they've been for so long. For decades, it's been a stalemate. Of course, Shanks is a newer Yonko, but they've been in their own corners for a long time. They've been making moves, trying to get the one up on each other, but for the most part, they haven't accomplished that. And could that be because of another faction? More than likely. But for right now, I think the Yonko, in regards to the story, number 4, the 4th best faction to me. And guys, I would like to hear your rankings for the factions as well. From 1 to 5, rank your factions in the comment section. And if you're here for the first time and you're liking the video so far, just drop a like and subscribe. That helps a lot. So let's get to number 3, the 3rd best faction in One Piece. And again, saying the Revolutionaries are the worst faction in One Piece is a weird way to phrase it. I think that has a negative connotation, so my apologies. All of them are good, right? One Piece has formulated a very solid structure, a very solid balance. So being the worst of these is not that bad. I just wanted to make sure I made that clear. So number 3, the 3rd worst faction in One Piece. Or let me rephrase how I'm saying this. The 3rd best faction in One Piece. I would say the Supernova. This is really close. This was really close because I think the Supernova and what they've brought to the story, I think it changed and enhanced the story so much. When we first got to Sabaody and finding out that they're people, right, on their own paths, just like Luffy, and they're trying to accomplish their own goals, that was refreshing. Because for us, for most of the story, it felt like Luffy was, going against himself. They had some minor pirates here and there, but who was Luffy going against? Other than the Admirals, other than these top tier characters, who were the people that were a part of Luffy's generation? And the Supernova filled that void. So when we found out about these characters, it even had a character with a higher bounty than Luffy and Sabaody. This was an eye-opener because Luffy had been running through everyone he had come in contact with. And running through is hyperbolic because Crocodile ran through him, right? And he couldn't beat Smoker, all that different stuff. But for the most part, Luffy's by himself. The introduction of the Supernova changed things for me and just my interest in the story. Of course, I was interested all the way back in B.D.A, but Sabaody, one of my favorite arcs, if not my favorite arc, next to Marineford. It was spectacular. And then let's talk about the characters amongst the Supernova. For Law, a super fan favorite. I absolutely love Law. From the Marineford stuff to Punk Hazard to Dressrosa, Law is a fan favorite. Even in Sabaody, we can't forget the middle finger, the things that Law has said. He's been a fantastic character throughout. Again, we're excluding Luffy and Zoro because if we include them, they're the best faction. No doubt, but excluding Luffy and Zoro because those are our MCs, those are the people we love. We need to find out more about Kid. Kid's accomplishments have been documented here and there, but we haven't seen anything. I would have liked to see some more from Kid and then also some backstory. We got some backstory in Sabaody in regards to why Kid is the way he is. He ties it all back to the Celestial Dragons and how terrible they are. So for him, he feels like the things that he does, the minor things by just, killing people and stuff, is not that bad in comparison to them, enslaving people, just killing people, the heavenly tax, all the things that they do. He he feels like is just pale in comparison. And somewhat, them being the way they are, they've crafted and molded the world and created people like Kid. So for him, he feels like he's just collateral damage, right? But we need some more from his backstory, and obviously I'm talking about Killer as well. Capone was great in Whole Cake Island, I'm not gonna lie. He was a character that I really didn't like. I think he was my least favorite supernova. I wasn't really feeling Capone. Even his devil fruit power was a little weird. He had men inside him. Oh, that sounded a bit weird. He had, you know, his crew inside him a lot. It was just like, that's not a devil fruit power I really like. But Capone and everything we found out about him just chasing after the heads, like basically really important people, it was really intriguing. And him being a family man, I really found Capone endearing in Whole Cake Island. Now for X-Drake, he was interesting in Sub-OD as well. We weren't sure about him. Come to find out, X-Drake, well, spoiler alert guys, if you are here from the anime, there will be spoilers. Fuck. This is hella late in the video, but I'm just letting you know. X-Drake has been revealed to be a Marine, and we're not exactly sure what his goal is, but he's been fine. He's been cool. Aruj, we've seen glimpses of him. Bonnie has some end game potential in regards to her backstory, her connection to Kuma and the world government, so we have to wait and see with that. Hawkins, he's there. Apu, he's there. But again, the supernova, I think they changed the game in regards to not only enhancing the story, but also making the world feel a bit more real. Luffy's not just here by himself. There are other people competing against him. Maybe everyone isn't trying to be Pirate King, but everybody has their own goals, and they're out here trying to gather prestige just like Luffy is. So I really enjoyed the supernova, the third best faction. The second best faction, the Warlords. I thought about putting the Marines second, but I think the Marines are just better. Before we get to them, let's talk about the Warlords. The Warlords are above the Supernova because I think amongst the Supernova, there are better characters amongst the group, and I think the Warlords have been a lot more prominent in the story. They've not only been walls for Luffy to overcome, but they've also set goals for characters from the beginning of the story. Of course, I'm talking about Mihawk here. Mihawk is Zoro's end game goal. When we think about Warlords as well, Jinbei was a Warlord, and Jinbei is one of my favorite characters, and Jinbei now is a Straw Hat. So for Jinbei being a Warlord, his involvement with the world government, him being a fishman, his involvement with the Whitebeard Pirates, his involvement with Ace, this contributes to the Warlord being a very important faction. We can go even further in regards to Crocodile. He was very scary in Alabasta. He had so many failsafes. Like, he had so many things in place just in case something went wrong. I was like, Crocodile is freaking amazing. Go back and read Alabasta, and you will be surprised as to how good Crocodile is in that arc. I absolutely love Crocodile a lot more than I did when I first read the story. And on top of that, Crocodile's involvement in Marineford. Oh my gosh, Crocodile surprised the hell out of me. He was going against top tiers, holding his own, not giving way to anything, and that was really impressive. But it doesn't stop there. Kuma. One of the best moments in the story involves Kuma, I'm not gonna lie. And for the most part, it seems like Kuma has been a central hub of the story, and we didn't even realize it. From the nothing happened moment, from transporting all the Straw Hats to their respective places for them to train, and basically was almost the person behind the time skip. I know it's a weird way to kind of justify that, but he sent them to places in which all these people could improve. It's a weird thing, but he did that. He was also a revolutionary, trained Sabo, but then he's involved with the world government in regards to them crafting the pacifistas, and I'm pretty sure Kuma had something to do with the SSG. We have to wait and see. But Kuma's been a really important character in regards to the progress of the story. Not to mention Moria and Buggy and Boa Hancock and her importance in regards to Luffy getting impaled down, etc. But also Doflamingo. Doflamingo is a celestial dragon. He was Joker, the underworld boss, connected to Kaido. Of course, he was a warlord, also a pirate. Doflamingo, some people feel like he's one of the best characters in One Piece. I mean, I think that. And all these people are warlords. They have been basically carrying the story and the plot for a long time. So you know what I'm doing? Honestly, I'm putting the Warlords at 1 and the Marines at 2. Because when you go through all this stuff, bro, I promise you, in everybody's top 10, a Warlord is almost guaranteed to be there. That's how amazing the Warlords are. But I'm sure the Admirals are there as well. That's why it's 1 and 2 is really difficult for me. I'm gonna put the Warlords at 1. Now, I think it was some bias there because I really love the Marines. Personally, I enjoy Smoker a lot. Akainu is dope. Aokiji's dope. I enjoy Kizaru, Fujitora. I'm really fond of Kobe. Kobe, of course, has end game potential. Akainu and the Admirals as well. I think Sengoku is a great character that is sometimes overlooked. Garp, personally, I think is the best character in One Piece. His connection to Rocks, Luffy, Dragon. We also can't forget Maynard from Dressrosa, Doberman for putting those handcuffs on Marco. You know, those guys. Nah, I'm not serious. The Marines have amazing characters, but outside of that, why I think the Marines should be 1 and the Warlords should be 2, because I keep going back and forth. They're 1 and 2 for me. I'm not sure who's 1, not sure who's 2, but they're 1 and 2. The Warlords have been abolished, and the Warlords, they were super dependent on the Marines because they were seeking basically pardons, even though they were pirates. Like Mihawk was using it to basically just sail around the world and do whatever he wanted to do while not being bothered by the Marines. Hancock was seeking that so that she could protect her country. They all had their reasons for being Shichibukai, but they were heavily dependent on the Marines. I mentioned the Yonko and them not being able to basically take over the world in so many years, and the main reason is because of the Marines and the world government. They've had a stranglehold on the world for a while, and I anticipate change is coming, but they've led the charge. They've held it down for this long, and again, this faction is uber important to the story. Everything hinges upon not only the Marines, and again, if we just want to expand it to the world government, that's the final boss. That's the end game. The Revolutionaries, they're going against the world government. The Yonko, they're going against the world government. The Supernova, the Warlords, at this point, they're being hunted by the world government. So the Marines are 1, and I'm cheating a bit because I involved the world government, but it doesn't matter. And the Warlords are 2. So final list. Here we go. 5 the Revolutionaries, 4 the Yonko, 3 the Supernova, 2 the Warlords, and 1 the Marines. I thought about including the Gorosei, but I feel like we haven't seen much from them. They've had some important dialogue in regards to the end game of the story and just giving us some more insight in regards to just what's going to happen, the cleansing, Imu-sama. Like, it's so much going on there with the Gorosei, but it's not enough. It's not enough to even warrant a spot amongst these 5, because these groups are what we know. We absolutely adore these groups. If there's a conversation about One Piece, guaranteed an individual from one of these groups will be discussed at length. I guarantee it. So guys, give me your thoughts. Rank the factions for me. Rank the groups for me. Who's the best? Who's the worst? Whatever criteria you want to use, however it enhances the story for you. Objectively, which faction do you think is the best? And give me your top 5. But that's it. Make sure to leave your thoughts below. Like the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Be sure to let me know if you enjoyed this, because again, I wanted to make more ranking videos. So if you guys enjoy this, of course, there will be more. I felt like this was such a fun topic, and it basically took me away from what I wanted to talk about today. Maybe we'll talk about that later in the week, but it involves straw. That's all I say right now. It involves straw and something that rhymes with straw. Anyway, that's all the hints I'm giving today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BrogDAce. Follow me on Instagram, brogd.ace. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Again, like, subscribe. I shall catch you guys in the next one. Peace.